So let's talk about Anchor a little and kind of the state of the beer industry with what happened, with them. Do you have any insight or just thoughts on that and kind of the, what's happening in the beer industry in general?
Yeah, so those who follow the beer industry, certainly have seen its ups and downs over my history. So over 45 years or so, I've seen, some real tough times, and I've seen some good times, and we've had sort of zero growth before in the 90s, and we're at a place now where the drinkers definitely changed, and I think some of the trends were happening pre-COVID, but COVID probably accelerated things a bit across the full spectrum of life in America, really, and I guess the health craze to some degree might have prompted some of those changes, people going to what they might perceive as a healthier alcohol, something that doesn't have as many calories and carbs as beer. And so, the advent of seltzers and, alcoholic tonics and those sorts of things certainly took some of the craft beer drinkers in a different direction. And I said, during the pandemic, brewers who had an on-premise focus, and some of them only had on-premise, they were really hurt, and many of them, ceased to be in existence. But it certainly changed consuming habits as well. On-premise sales have not recovered from the post-pandemic. They're down 10 or 15% below where they were going into it, and that was the lifeblood of many craft breweries, Anchor included. If you've got, I think they were probably in the 30 or 40% on premise, certainly in Northern California, probably very high on premise volumes. And so when that shut down, that certainly put the hurt on the company overall. But Anchor's a unique company. I mean, they're in San Francisco in a really expensive place to do business. They're in a brewery that is romantic as hell and beautiful, but not real efficient. And they have they're landlocked and had some older infrastructure. And they're not unique. There's a lot of breweries in America that I think went through the pandemic and came out not very healthy. And that's a case where sad to see what happened, but sort of the handwriting was on the wall. It's harder to be a small brewer that tries to go national. If you're a small regional brewer that focuses on your home market, and you've been able to establish yourself there, and you can survive off those kinds of volumes, whether you're in Portland or Seattle or Denver or wherever, some breweries' business models have been able to survive and prosper with the changing consumer. But the industry in general is not super healthy. I mean, if you look at the largest brewers to the smallest, very few are growing much. A lot of people are flat, and flat's considered good in a lot of people's minds these days. Will we get back to robust growth again? I don't know if it'll be robust. Hopefully we'll get back to some growth as the industry goes. The other factor that's impacted many of us is input costs have gone through the roof. With what's happened in Ukraine, that really put a big focus on small grains, and so wheat and barley and oats and grains that brewers use have all gone up significantly in cost.
Yeah, a lot of those, that's a growing region. A lot of those malt houses are over there, and then also like the shipping costs have gone.
Yeah, just everything across. Energy was up, so bottles and cans cost more. All the inputs went up well above inflation, and so a lot of brewers have tried to recoup some of that by raising prices. So now beer is also considered to be a little bit priced out of the competitive set with spirits and wine in some cases. Spirits certainly are cheaper for a drink than a beer is if you're buying a bottle, not if you go to a bar necessarily. But so that's, I think, impacted a lot of breweries as well, is that they're no longer as competitive. And if you're a price sensitive shopper and you see a $10 six-pack, and you see a bottle of booze for $20 that is equivalent to 5 6-packs or whatever, some people are making those choices.
If that's the choice, yeah. If you're looking at it strictly from a
alcohol
standpoint,
alcohol delivery standpoint. So, I think there's a variety of things that have all sort of aligned, unfortunately, to make it much more difficult to do business. Certainly in California. I mean, that's the other thing. We've got very expensive everything. Power's much more costly here than just about every other state in the country. We got a lot of minimum wage things, and so a lot of brewers that have restaurants and pubs are struggling with just a lot of those costs that are present in doing business in California.